The war in Ukraine drags on with Russian strikes, cruel Russian strikes against civilian targets in Poltava and Lviv, leading to considerable loss of life and the destruction of significant infrastructure. These events not only deepen the crisis in Ukraine, but also coincide with the profound political turmoil in the Ukrainian government. And the attack on Poltava was particularly devastating, with the deaths of 51 people, the injury of over 200. The assault is one of the deadliest in the conflict so far, underscoring the brutal reality of Russia's ongoing military campaign against Ukraine. And the city of Lviv, far from the front lines, has also suffered a severe blow, with the strike killing at least 7 people, including children, and damaging historical buildings. And the attack has left the local population in shock, especially as Lviv has been relatively insulated from the worst of the conflict. The impact of these attacks is further compounded by a significant reshuffling of the Ukrainian cabinet, and President Zelensky has initiated a major overhaul of his cabinet, resulting in the resignation of several key ministers, including the foreign minister Dmytro Kuleba and Alexander Kamyshin, the Minister for Strategic Industries, and the reshuffle has left about a third of the cabinet positions vacant, at a time when strong leadership and stability are crucial for Ukraine's resilience against Russian aggression. And the reasons for these resignations and dismissals haven't been fully disclosed, but it's clear that internal political divisions and dynamics are shifting rapidly as the war grinds on, and people are exhausted. The exhaustion of conflict. And these developments come at a time when when President Putin, or his doppelganger, has left the country to attend a festival in Mongolia, a move that's raised international eyebrows. And despite the fact that there's an international arrest warrant hanging over him for war crimes relating to children. You remember the scene in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom? They've taken the children. Or in Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, the children and the child catcher. That is what Putin is. Be in no doubt. Putin has targeted children. Again and again and again and again and again. And that is the essence of those charges. Mongolia, like many other countries, is unlikely to risk diplomatic and economic repercussions by detaining the Russian leader. Detaining Putin would be an act of war. And the consequent attack would be ferocious, I think. The situation highlights the limitations of international legal mechanisms in holding powerful leaders to account, particularly when such geopolitical tensions and interests are at play. This international arrest warrant is rhetoric and nonsense. It simply isn't practical. And if something isn't practical, why do it? It's just a lot of talk. Cheap. And meanwhile, the situation at Zaporizhzhia, the power plant, remains precarious, and the UN's nuclear watchdog has warned of a potentially catastrophic scenario if the plant, which is currently under Russian control, experiences a blackout because of the instability. Such an event could lead to a disaster of unprecedented scale, not just for Ukraine, but for all of Europe. And in the wake of these attacks, Ukraine's resilience is being tested like never before. The combination of military attacks, political upheaval, looming nuclear threat presents an incredibly complex and dangerous scenario. As Ukraine contends with these issues, it continues to call on its allies for more substantial support, particularly in the form of military aid. President Zelensky has repeatedly urged Western nations to supply Ukraine with the necessary weapons to defend itself, criticizing the delay in delivering much-needed missile systems. the international community is now watching closely to see how Ukraine navigates this treacherous period, and the political reshuffling in Kyiv could lead to a more unified and effective government response or exacerbate existing challenges. Meanwhile, Russia's unrelenting attacks signal that the conflict is far from over, and the humanitarian and geopolitical stakes continue to rise daily. As the war drags on, the resilience of the Ukrainian people and the international community's commitment to supporting them is crucial in determining the outcome of this brutal conflict, as Putin suns himself in Mongolia.